Hey Louie fans, Louie Vision here, and today we're going to be trying something a little different. We're going to be talking about Rick and Morty. I got an interesting theory I've been formulating, been thinking about it for a while actually, and then recently I went and actually looked up to see if anyone had any similar ideas, and sure enough, I found a video talking about, is Rick Morty? And you know what, I watched the first couple of minutes of it, and as far as I know, this was just the first video that popped up when I was searching, but I do believe he mentioned, some other sources who had brought up the idea previously, the idea that Rick is actually Morty from the future, and he has traveled back in time to mentor himself. And I didn't watch the rest of the video because I wanted to be able to, give you guys my thoughts on the idea with as little outside influence as possible. And I'm probably going to end up repeating some of the things, having to do with the theory. But what I'm hoping is that I'm going to add some new insight. And I'm just going to not worry about that right now. Yeah, I guess this idea first occurred to me because, I love Rick and Morty. It's probably one of my favorite shows. No, you know what? Damn, I think it is my favorite show right now. And for a lot of others, you know what? I love fucking Rick. I love fucking Rick. I love fucking Rick. Who doesn't? It's like I relate to him on a personal animal. A lot of people say BoJack Horseman is their spirit animal. Rick is my spirit animal, even though that makes less sense. And Morty, a lot of people find Morty annoying. I did at first, but then I kind of realized why I find him annoying. He reminds me of a younger me. He really does. And that's when it occurred to me, oh shit, maybe they're the same person. I mentioned how Rick and Morty is probably my favorite show on TV right now. Before Rick and Morty, you know what? I think one of my favorite shows still is, but a show that I liked above all others before Rick and Morty was Futurama. And you know what? There are a lot of similarities between the two shows. One in particular being that they refuse to get into time travel, with some minor exceptions. In Rick and Morty season 1 episode 3, it was kind of just an example to show the viewers just how out of hand and complex a time traveling storyline can really be.
Oh no, what are you doing? I'm not sure. Idea. Stop it!
Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I'm really uncertain about everything, even kicking your ass.
In Futurama, I think they didn't touch time travel for a similar reason, except for one episode. That episode being when they traveled to Area 51, or Roswell, during the incident, and it turned out, oh shit, they were the UFO who had crash landed. And you know what? In this one episode of Futurama, where they went backwards in time, it was revealed that Fry was his own grandpa.
She sure is pretty. You ought to marry her and father some children right away.
Yeah, folks say that. But did you ever get the feeling you're only going with girls 'cause you're supposed to?
And I fucking love that. And I honestly feel like Rick and Morty could be doing something similar. Because, Rick and Morty is a lot like Futurama, but it's just so much extra. Like, Rick and Morty is like a rated R, a much more mature version of Futurama, and I think that this would just end up being another example of that. Did I say season 3 episode 1 before? Because I meant season 2 episode 1, where they delved into time travel a bit. Season 3 episode 1 actually has a lot to do with my theory. I loved that episode because spoilers, by the way. There's going to be a lot of spoilers in this. You better be familiar with Rick and Morty. Also, I have not seen a bit of a segue here, but this is before my season 3 episode 2 reaction. I'm going to be doing that later today. Anyways, back on topic. I loved episode 1 of season 3 because it was just so fucking smart. You find out that his backstory, his origin that they had played for us was completely fabricated, and that that wasn't what was driving him, that he was really motivated by getting that Szechuan sauce. That's his true motivation. That's what drives him. That's what's going to get him through 9 seasons. I love that he breaks the fourth wall every once in a while too. But it's like that episode was so genius is because it had you believing that, oh my God, here is a character with an incredibly tragic backstory, and he has a deeper meaning to it. And he's broken, but he's really,
Wow, this sauce is f***ing amazing. You said it was promoting a movie?
It's like that origin kind of made you go, oh, so that's why he is the way he is, my God. And then it turns out that he had never left the the part of the brain scan thing that was really just a simulation. He had simulated all of that. It was all fabricated. They would never left the restaurant. It was all taking place in his memories. It was faked.
What are you talking about? This is a memory. You can't alter details of a memory.
True, but you can alter anything you want about a totally fabricated origin story.
It's a trap! Abort! I'm still in his Shoney's. Repeat, we never left his Shoney's!
Mission accomplished, boys. Pull me out. Roger that.
And his real motivations were the Szechuan sauce. All the reasons that you empathized with Rick for before turned out to be flat out false. He's really just doing it for he's doing everything for very selfish reasons. And I actually think that this theme is going to tie in to the entire series, and the whole Rick being the protector of Morty works for that, and I'll explain why. An ongoing debate on YouTube. It's actually not really a debate. It's like you see a lot of videos showing proof that Rick loves Morty, and yeah, there are definitely plenty of examples throughout the series of Rick. He seems like this totally not evil, but like self-centered, self-obsessed character. But there are still characters in the show that want to prove that no, you know what, you actually care for your Morty.
So in conclusion, you're both equally mercurial, overly sensitive, clingy, hysterical bird brain homunculi. And I honestly can't even tell the two of you apart half the time because I don't go by height or age. I go by amount of pain in my ass, which makes you both identical. All right, everything resolved? Everybody nice and certain about their position in my world?
Yes.
What I think would be hilarious is that by the time the series wraps up, we get our conclusion, all the loose ends are neatly tied. It's going to be revealed, and it's revealed that, oh, by the way, I traveled back in time to make sure that, to mentor you and to see you through. I just think it would be fucking hilarious if by the end of the series we found out that yes, he does in fact love Morty. He cares for him. He wants to protect him and be safe and have a good life. But then we find out the reason why he loves Morty is because Morty is actually him, a younger version of him. And it turns out, oh, guess what? He is self-centered after all. Like, that would just be too fucking perfect. Now, this part of my theory is a little bit far-fetched, but I don't think so because, Rick and Morty, they take a lot of scientific theories and they kind of do their own thing with them a lot of the times, and also other times they'll straight up make up shit. But I think that the way Rick travels back in time will follow the same rules as in that episode of Futurama, and also Back to the Future, the movie that these characters are loosely inspired from. Like, we know that Rick can travel from dimension to dimension, infinite timelines. I think before he perfected that technology, he started off traveling through his own dimension, not just through space, but time as well. And when you time travel in your own timeline, I would imagine you would follow the same rules that applied in the movie Back to the Future. The movie those characters are loosely inspired off of, right? Now bear with me. So that movie, it kind of came up with its own rules for time travel, and Rick and Morty does that all the time. You know, it takes scientific theories and it kind of does its own thing with it. It explains it in the show so that you understand what's going on, what's happening. But, you know, it takes real theories and it just does its own thing with it. And that's exactly what Back to the Future did with time travel. It kind of did its own thing with it. It's like, oh shit, you've changed the timeline. Now you're disappearing and your brothers and sisters are disappearing piece by piece unless you can correct it. Like, that's not how that shit works, but you know, it worked for the movie, and I think it would be hilarious and awesome if they followed Back to the Future time travel rules in this movie. This is what I think is going to happen. Morty becomes intelligent using those mega seeds.
When we get to customs, I'm gonna need you to take these seeds into the bathroom, and I'm gonna need you to put them way up inside your butthole, Morty.
In my butt?
Put them way up inside there, as far as they can fit.
Oh, jeez, Rick. I really don't want to have to do that.
Morty then creates time travel, but is unable to travel beyond his own dimension. Morty goes back in time, kills his own grandpa, Rick, because he was such a fucking terrible influence on him. He hated him, just like, you know, evil Morty. Maybe that's the same him. Maybe that is him with one eye. Kills his Rick, but then realizes that he would cease to exist without Rick in his life. So what does he do? He takes his place, uses his superior intelligence, genetically modifies himself to look like his grandpa Rick, and then he proceeds to raise himself in the same abusive, messed up way so that he would essentially become and still exist. And you know what? This also kind of explains why Rick is like, a lot of the stuff he does, it kind of makes him like unquestionably evil, and yet he has these characteristics of a decent person that make him relatable. It's like, I just think this particular backstory suits that perfectly. Like, here's a guy who finally is finally taken out, the smartest, quite possibly most diabolical man in the universe, only to realize that he would have to become him to ensure his own existence and to actually wipe out the Ricks from the universe. And oh my God, let his plan unfold. Oh my God, you know what? This might also explain why all of the other Ricks hate this particular Rick. It's because he's not an actual Rick. And it also explains why he has no issue just fucking killing endless versions of himself. Oh God.
What the hell is that? Payback.
Grandpa Rick!
Duh.
One thing that mentioned to him while he was being interrogated in, I think, season 1 is, if there's one thing that's true with all Ricks, is that we don't care about our Mortys, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. Shit, what kind of nerd are you? And this Rick does, and that is why. I know it was also mentioned in another YouTube video, didn't watch this one, that Jerry could potentially be the villain in season 3. I actually really hope so, for 2 reasons. I actually really don't like that character. Like, I know a lot of people don't like Morty. I don't mind Morty. It's Jerry who I fucking hate, and he always annoyed me. It's probably another one of those instances where it's just like I see all of the negative traits in myself in him, and I'm like, oh God, really, dude? Fuck. Like, I think the moment when the memory parasite episode and the one flashback with the homeless guy, I know it was a joke, but that really pissed me off, and I really didn't like him after that.
Whoa, what the hell?
Look out for that homeless guy!
Open the door! Open the door! Open the door!
There isn't time! Just run!
Get out here and help me!
They say you shouldn't do that! Just run!
Anyways, if he does end up becoming the bad guy and the jerk, I think that it would also, the villain, so to speak, I think it would also tie into my theory, because Rick, aka Morty from the future, hates Jerry, and this was also, I feel like, may have been hinted at in season 3, episode 1, at the very end. He got Jerry out of the family, and you know why I did it? Because he crossed me. He said because he crossed me, but you know what? He may not have been referring to that specific instance. He may have been referring to another instance. Okay, and I think that's pretty much my theory in a nutshell. A pretty big fucking nutshell. And you know, I do think that I may have offered some new insight. Like, I think that they're going to be going by Back to the Future rules in terms of time travel, because that makes the most sense. Even though they have traversed across dimensions, they have not exclusively time traveled, except in that one episode to illustrate how complicated it would be.
I'm not an idiot. I knew how to be decisive. Now hand me that flathead screwdriver. Actually, make it a flathead. Oh, shit.
It would be complicated because your entire series is tied into this time travel story. You do episodes about time travel, it's just going to make the overall Rick's backstory more complicated. You don't want to do that. I think it's going to be just another example of Rick and Morty being just a more hardcore extra version of Futurama, or taking what that show has done and just taking it to a whole other level. And I agree that Jerry is eventually going to just straight up become the villain of the series, which would also explain why Rick fucking hates him. And I think it ties into the overall theme of the show, making you think that Rick is actually a decent human being, when, you know, twist, he is not.
I just took over the family, Morty, and if you tell your mom or sister I said any of this, I'll deny it, and they'll take my side because I'm a hero, Morty. And now you're gonna have to go and do whatever I say, Morty, forever. And I'll go out and I'll find some more of that Mulan Szechuan teriyaki dipping sauce, Morty, because that's what this is all about, Morty. That's my one-armed man. I'm not driven by avenging my dead family, Morty. That was fake. I'm driven by finding that McNugget sauce.
So I guess it would be a twist on top of twist kind of thing. You know, we realize that Rick actually is Morty, and that the only reason he was mentoring him and essentially raising him was that because, you know, he is in fact self-centered. But then, oh shit, no, it was so that he would continue to exist, so that he would eventually kill the real Rick and then go on to wipe them all out. And I think that Morty becomes intelligent using the mega seeds. Also, it's possible that evil Morty could play a major role in the storyline. It could be revealed that he is a version of Morty who did take the mega seeds, and it made him more aware of his situation, like Mr. Meeseeks. The longer he was intelligent, or even like the dog, the longer he was intelligent, the more he realized what a shit situation he was in. And he just went on a rampage to try and wipe out all the Ricks. Evil Morty could show our Morty how he became intelligent. That's how that could possibly tie in. All right, now I think that's everything. Let me know what you guys think. You know, again, this is all before I've seen episode 2 of season 3. I'm going to be watching that shit right now. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are there any holes in my theory? Let me know in the comments below. You want to see more shit like this? That'd be cool too. And yeah, like and share and all that shit. And I was gonna say, you know, you can, if you do want to see more shit like this, you can also check this out. But I don't really have anything else like this right now. You can check out this reaction though. That's pretty good. I'm Louie Vision.